Hey folks, Richard Trascoma from ERA Grizzard, Real Estate with a Twist. It is time for our weekly cocktail. Uh, we're going serious and old school again here. This is a basic cocktail. If you haven't learned this one yet, it'd be a good one to learn. We're going to make the classic Martini today. Not the James Bond version, but the original version. So before we get started, please don't drink and drive. Actually, this is probably, martinis are almost original and classic martinis. They are entirely alcohol. So please don't drink and drive, and actually one or two of these is probably more than you'd ever need in an evening, but some people are capable of more. History of the martini, which goes back to the mid-1800s. There's actually a few different versions. The one that seems to be most accepted is a minor. Two versions are A, he hit it big, went into a bar and ordered champagne out in Martinez, California, which is where the martini came from. He ordered champagne, they didn't have it. The bartender said, hey, let me whip you something up with what I have available. And this was the drink that was made that day. He went to San Francisco shortly thereafter, ordered the drink in a couple bars. They had no idea, obviously, what it was. He told them how to make it, and the rest is history. The other version of that was a guy who hadn't hit it big, minor, Martinez, California, just passing through, and the drink somehow appeared. There's also a version that involves New York, but those are far less likely time-wise when you look at the history. And the other one is the Martini and Rossi family was making vermouth back then, so people just assumed that Martini may have been played into it. But the one that seems most accepted was a bar in Martinez, California, and hence the Martini. I make fun of doing glasses and chilling them, but this is one drink where you want to make sure you chill the glass before you make what you're going to be making. It can be shaken like James Bond talks about, or stirred, but stirred would be the preferred and the classic way to do it. Ingredients, it's pretty darn simple. It is a 2-ingredient drink, gin and vermouth, a dry vermouth. You can use whatever gin you like. I will tell you that gin, whether you realize it or not, varies by flavor. So Hendrick's, as opposed to Bombay Sapphire, as opposed to any other that you might choose, there are differences, so you may have to play until you find the one you want. The other ingredient at the very end to decorate with, and does affect the drink, is either a lemon peel or olives, and you've probably seen that. Later on, people started doing vodka martinis and all kinds of martinis. So when your girlfriend's out and orders an appletini, or where I was making that chocolate strawberry martini, the only reason those are actually called martinis at all is because they're normally served in a martini glass. Nothing to do with martini. So that's really it. The recipe itself is pretty simple. It's going to be 2.5 ounces of gin. And so you can see that 2.5 ounces in one drink, and that's all it is a lot of alcohol. The only other ingredient is the dry vermouth. It's a 1/2 ounce. You will hear people talk about atomizer and spraying the glass, swinging it around the glass and doing all that stuff, and that's all the flavor you want. The truth is, back in 18 whatever, they didn't have an atomizer to spray the glass, and the recipe calls, and has called for over 200 to 100 years, for a 1/2 ounce of dry vermouth. So anything other than that, and it's just not the real thing. You can stir it, or you can shake it like we talked about, but in this case, we're gonna stir it. You wanna stir it until it gets really cold and the outside of the glass, once again, is starting to get condensation on it. There are lots of little things you can do to change this drink, like you can with most drinks, and somewhere there's somebody going, I like it some other way, and there's nothing wrong with personalizing your cocktail. Chilled glass, pour it out. Strainer, if you have an extra strainer, it wouldn't be a bad idea to pour this through another strainer. And it should be clear and really cold, just like that. At that point, it's just your choice. If you want to do a lemon, you can do a twist of lemon on there, run it around the glass, or if you're an olive person, which I am, drop the olives in and call it good. That right there is a classic martini. Obviously, it evolved to vodka later on, and many other things. But this would be the original and classic martini. In the 50s and 60s is when this got really popular, when they would call it a 3 martini lunch. That's not actually a rumor. 50s and 60s, businessmen would go out and do 3 martinis and then go back, take a nap, pass out. That's a lot of liquor, obviously. So don't drink and drive. If you need anything in the real estate world, please give me a call. If you have any questions about anything, Thanks and cheers.